concerns mostly Canada.
Private meeting with B. Kim Xiao.
I'm not one of those who believes, as some say, that war in Europe is unthinkable. I'm often struck by how fragile is the veneer of civilization on the union we've created.
I have the largest constituency in England. It's southwest England and Gibraltar. It comprises about 5 million people. You cannot possibly do a job as an MEP unless you know what people's concerns are. And if, as in the United Kingdom, often the concerns are based on news reports which are fallacious, then it's important that we get across the right information about what's really happening.
Time's it say? 10:40. I'm supposed to be there at 10 o'clock.
I'm a liberal because I feel to be part of the great British liberal tradition which started so many years ago but was developed in the Victorian age by people like Walter Bagehot and of course Mr. Gladstone. That is a tradition which I think has a lot to contribute, particularly here in the 21st century, because it's a tradition which is almost in its essence internationalist. It's a tradition which believes that we must seek to build a free and a fair and an open society in which nobody shall be enslaved by poverty or by ignorance or by conformity, which respects people and believes that we can best represent their interests by having them work together regardless of creed or colour or conviction. Europe is still essentially an intergovernmental creation, but it has set up this directly elected European Parliament, barely 30 years old, which is beginning to have more and more of a say, and where people come together not on the basis of their nationality, but on the basis of their ideological conviction. And so Liberals and Democrats from Britain and Germany and the Netherlands and so on sit together just as socialists do from all of those countries, or Christian Democrats. And that is really allowing us to look at solving the main challenges facing the European Union on the basis of ideological debate rather than on the basis of national prejudice or historical atavistic viewpoints. Here in my corner of southwest England, it's true that the level of anti-European feeling is quite high. It's something that I'm working against all the time. But I don't believe that Britain is fundamentally ill-suited to the European Union. Indeed, I believe not only that Britain is and always has been part of the culture of the continent of Europe, but that increasingly people in this country recognize that. And one of the things that sustains me in the work that I do is the recognition that more and more people respect those who stand up for the values of tolerance and living together and seeking to find common solutions to common challenges against those who take the easy route of populism and exploitation of existing prejudice.
a neighbour called Fred. He's rather elderly and he's very typical Somerset. And a few years ago he told me that he was actually going to go for the first time on holiday on the continent. And I said, oh Fred, I said, go from Bristol Airport. I said, there's a great stretch. No, he said, I think I'm going to drive over there. I said, all right. He said, of course, you know Fred, they drive on the other side of the road, don't you? He said, oh, I hadn't thought about that. Anyway, I saw him again a few weeks later. I said, Fred, I said, how was your holiday? Oh, I didn't go in the end. So I said, well, why is that? And he said, well, you know what you told me about driving over the other side of the road? I thought I'd better try it, and I can tell you, it's darn dangerous. If you look at what's happened in the opinion polls over the last 7 or 8 years, very interesting. Among the 1/3 of the British people who are fundamentally uncomfortable with our membership of the European Union, opinion has hardened. Those people who may have been a little uncomfortable are now hugely uncomfortable. But among the rest of the population, support for the European Union has gone up substantially. 11 points since 2001. We now have 58% of the people in this country regularly in opinion polls saying, yeah, the European Union is a damn good thing, we've got to stay in it. But of course, increasingly, it's the older people who fall into the former category and the younger people who fall into the latter category.
I think it went fairly well. The turnout was reasonably good. We need to get people thinking now, a year ahead of the elections, about what kind of campaigning they're going to be doing. I think the mood was good. We've just had an extremely good set of local election results, which show that we could elect a second MEP here in the southwest for the Liberal Democrats. And I felt generally that people were engaged and interested and that we can count on a lot of support. It's very surprising how over the last 25 years the opportunity for a third party has grown. In any country in Europe, the strength of the socialists on the one hand or the right wing on the other has declined, and the space for third parties, be they liberal parties or other, to emerge has become much greater.
President in office, the Irish vote against the treaty has made your impressively prepared presidency more problematic. It has also made the case for a practical problem-solving Europe stronger than ever. The energy and climate packages become more urgent every day. Capping VAT is a short-term sop. Europe should be cutting its dependence on oil and gas. We need much more investment in renewable energy, small-scale and localised to bring household bills down, and large-scale, such as using the Union for the Mediterranean to invest in high-voltage solar thermal power production in North Africa.
I think any of us who believes that they are putting their thumbprint on history is perhaps a little deluded. We are all playing a very small bit part in a much greater process. But yes, in a small way, I feel I've been able to do a number of things that have been valuable, both in terms of legislation, particularly when I was chairman of the Committee on Justice and Home Affairs and I piloted through some of the anti-terrorism legislation, but also in my leadership of a group of over 100 Liberals and Democrats, the largest third force we've ever had in Parliament, and the building of that force into a more coherent, European-level political party.
Yandy是去吧？
是啊，去汉南找旅行就是特地来的。
你们坐飞机去还是坐火车去？
坐飞机去。
It's not as easy as a European language by any means, but we're managing, aren't we, Freddie? We're managing. We're managing to read probably 400 or 500 characters. We're managing to speak on the level of a basic conversation, and I'm hoping we'll get the chance to actually go over there. History teaches us that with the spread of trade, you get the spread of ideas. And I believe that the democratization of the People's Republic of China is the most urgent task of the first quarter of this century. Unless we have a democratic China, we will never really get on top of the challenges of world population growth and migration, the challenges of climate change and energy security, the challenge of internationally organized crime linked to terrorism. All of these require a democratic China committed to a market economy and the rule of law and respect for human rights. And I hope that one of the things I might help to achieve is bringing the Chinese properly into the global community as responsible global citizens living in the modern age.
States now fulfill their commitments.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you. Yeah. Hello.
It started through an economic union, but it must continue in bringing together justice and home affairs, getting our police forces together in fighting crime, getting our judiciaries together, and gradually developing a common European foreign and security policy. If we succeed in doing that over the next 20 years, then I think we will hand on to future generations not only a European Union in which war is unthinkable, but a European Union which is capable of being a tremendous force for good in the world, and which can take out to other countries a formula for supranational cooperation, which might one day provide us with a more effective global governance.
And I have never been one of those who has believed that the group as such exists to be a campaigning organization. But I am absolutely convinced that when we have one particular issue which we all regard as being of crucial importance to the politics of today, then we should do more than simply pass legislation on that issue.
For somebody who comes, as I do, from the west of Scotland, from a different country, nonetheless I find it very pleasant to know that I'm treading the ground that liberals have trod before.